Daf Yomi Tractate Sanhedrin 13, page 13a, top of the page, the words Rav Yossi Omer. Rav Yossi Omer Echad ve'esrim yom u'shnehem mikra echad darshu Chag asif tekufat hashana Marsa v'kulei chag b'inan b'tekufa chadasha U'marsa mikzas chag b'inan b'tekufa chadasha. Rabbi Yossi says the year must be intercalated only if 21 days of Tishrei will pass before the autumnal equinox. The Gemara explains, and both of them expounded the same verse to arrive at their respective opinions. And the festival of the ingathering at the turn of the year, Exodus 34:22, they both interpret the verse to mean that the festival of the ingathering, which is referring to the intermediate days of Sukkot, take place during the season of Tishrei, meaning autumn. One sage, Rabbi Yehuda, holds that we require all the festival to take place in the new season after the equinox. And one sage, Rabbi Yossi, holds that we require only some of the festival, even one day, to take place in the new moon, so that the year must be intercalated only if the equinox would fall on the 22nd day of Tishrei or later. My kasavri, yom tekufa gomer belav hachinami la leman de'amar kulechag ika v'lo leman de'amar mikzaz chag ika era kasavri yom tekufa matchil. The Gemara asks, what do they each hold? If they hold that the day of the equinox concludes the season, meaning that it is counted as part of the preceding season, then even if the season of Tammuz is not lacking more than this number of days until its completion, the year would need to be intercalated. According to the one who says that we require all of the festival to take place in the new season, this is not sufficient to rectify the problem, as the 16th of Tishrei, which is the beginning of the festival of the ingathering, is still the old season. And even according to the one who says that we require only some of the festival to take place in the new season, this is also not sufficient to rectify the problem, since if the equinox occurs on the 21st of Tishrei, the new season begins only on the 22nd, after the festival of the ingathering is over. Rather, they certainly both hold that the day of the equinox begins the new season. Meisve Yom Tekufa Goymer de Yehuda. Rabbi Yossi Omer Yom Tekufa Maschil. Yom Tekufa Maschil. Okay. Excuse me. The Gemara asks, what do they hold? My kasavri. Oh yeah, I think we did that. Meisve Yom Tekufa, Meisve, right? It was Meisve. Meisve Yom Tekufa Gomer de Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi Omer Yom Tekufa Maschil. The Gemara raises an objection to this conclusion from a different Braita. The day of the equinox concludes the season. This is the statement of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yossi says the day of the equinox begins the season. It is therefore clear that they disagree about this issue and that the previous Braita must be explained differently. Ve'od Tanya ein maru nesashana ela imkein v'tekufa chasera ruba shel chodesh. V'kamer shel chodesh yishaser yom. Yehuda Omer shtei yados b'chodesh. V'kamer shtei yados b'chodesh esrim yom. Furthermore, it is taught in a Braita to Sefta 2:7 that the court intercalates the year only the season of Tammuz was lacking its completion for most of the month of Tishrei. And how much is most of the month? 16 days. Rabbi Yehuda says 2 parts, meaning 2/3 of the month. And how much is that? Naturally, it's 20 days. 2/3. Since, in that case, the day of the equinox would fall on the 21st, and since, according to Rabbi Yehuda, the day of the equinox concludes the season, the new season would begin on the following day after the festival of the ingathering has ended. Rabbi Yossi Omer Machashvin Shisha Asar Lefnei HaPesach Me'avrin Shisha Asar Lefnei HaChag in Ma'avrin. Rabbi Shimon Omer Av Shisha Asar Lefnei HaChag Me'avrin Acherim Omrim Mi'uto Chami'uto Arba Asar Yom Kasha. The Braita continues. Rabbi Yossi says the court calculates the seasons, and if the winter season of Tevet, which is before Passover, is lacking its completion for 16 days into the month of Nisan, the court intercalates the year so that Passover will occur within the season of Nisan, meaning the spring. But if the summer season of Tammuz, which is before the festival of the ingathering, is lacking its completion for 16 days into the month of Tishrei, the court does not intercalate it. Rabbi Shimon says even if the season before the festival of the ingathering is lacking its completion for 16 days into the month of Tishrei, the court does intercalate the year. The Tana referred to Acherim, referred to as Acherim, said the year is intercalated even on account of a minority of the month. And how much is a minority of the month? 14 days. The Gemara concludes, comparing the various braitot poses a difficulty as they appear to contradict one another. Amar Mar, Yehuda Omer, Shtei Yados B'Chodesh, Esem Yom, Rabbi Yossi Omer, Machashvin Shisha Asar Yom, Lefnei HaPesach, Me'abrin, Hainu Rabbi Yehuda. The Gemara analyzes the Braita. The master said that Rabbi Yehuda says the year must be intercalated if the season of Tammuz is lacking its completion for 2 parts of the month of Tishrei, which is 20 days. Rabbi Yossi says the court calculates the seasons, and if the season of Tevet, which is before Passover, is lacking its completion for 16 days into the month of Nisan, the court intercalates the year. The Gemara challenges that is the same as the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, since a calculation that shows the winter season of a given year to be lacking its completion for 16 days of Nisan will also show the summer season of that year will be lacking its completion for 20 days of Tishrei. Yom Tekufa Gomer, Yom Tekufa Maskal, Ikabinayim. Gemara explains the difference between them concerns the question of whether the day of the equinox concludes the season or the day of the equinox begins the season. Rabbi Yehuda holds that the day of the equinox concludes the season, and therefore, in the given scenario, the scene must be intercalated so that to some of the festival of the ingathering will occur in the season of Tishrei. But according to Rabbi Yossi, this is not a concern, as the day of the equinox begins the season. Nevertheless, the year must be intercalated so that Passover will occur in the season of Nisan. Okay, Amar Mar Shisha Asar Lefnei HaChag in Ma'avrin. Elo Rabbi Yossi Shisha Asar Lefnei HaChag Hudilah Ha Shibisar V'Tivet Ma'avrin. The master says in the continuation of this statement, Rabbi Yossi said, if the summer season of Tammuz, which is before the festival of the ingathering, is lacking its completion for 16 days into the month of Tishrei, the court does not intercalate the year. The Gemara challenges, rather, according to Rabbi Yossi, if the season before the festival is lacking its completion for 16 days into the month of Tishrei, this is the situation when the court does not intercalate the year. But can one therefore infer that if it is lacking its completion for 17 or 18 days into the month of Tishrei, the court does intercalate the year? Amar Shisha Asar Lefnei HaPesach in Betzir Lo. The Gemara explains the difficulty, but doesn't he say the court calculates the seasons? And if the winter season of Tevet, which is before Passover, is lacking in its completion for 16 days into the month, then yes, the court intercalates the year. But if it is lacking its completion for less than that, it should not be intercalated, even if the season before the festival of the ingathering will be lacking 17 or 18 days. The two elements of Rabbi Yossi's statement appear to contradict one another. Lo. The Gemara answers, no. Idi v'idi aim abrin. V'aydi Tana Reisha Shisha Asr V'nei Pesach Tananami Shisha Asr V'nei Chag. The Gemara answers, no. Those inferences are not correct. Rather, in both this case and that case, the court does not intercalate the year. And since it taught in the first clause 16 days before Passover, it also taught 16 days before the festival of the ingathering. But one cannot infer from this that it remains 16 days and no more. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Av Shisha Asar Lefnei Achag Ma'avrin Hainu Tanakama. The Brisa teaches that Rabbi Shimon says even if the season before the festival of the ingathering is lacking its completion for 16 days into the month of Tishrei, the court does intercalate the year. The Gemara asks, if so, this is apparently the same as the opinion of the first Tana. What is the difference between Rabbi Shimon's opinion and that of the first Tana?